Hello everyone. So unfortunately we had to get rid of the Mitsubishi. It started having some really serious issues. The brakes were pretty much down to metal, and additionally with that the transmission was arguably getting worse after the video that I posted last time. It ended up getting stuck at like 6,000 RPMs. It wouldn't shift up. It was just having a hell of a time trying to figure out what it needed to be doing. And so I took it back and I said, hey guys, I'm sorry, but LOL, we are not driving this again. So I now have a 2021 Nissan Rogue, and the way I know it's a 2021 is it still has the 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine. This one is the SV trim, and I have to say it's actually pretty good, despite it being a lower trim for Nissan. But of course, with that, this is definitely not one that I would buy, but it makes a great rental car, and I'm not gonna lie to y'all, this car is comfortable. These zero gravity seats that are on the interior, which actually is made of pretty good material, all the way through, everything is, leather stitch, or faux leather at least. The seats, someone was having fun up here. The seats are actually super comfortable. The interior, I really like that things are upholstered. For example, as many of you know, I cannot stand scratched A-pillars on cars. That's all upholstered, and then we do have the plastic trim for the B pillar. But needless to say, interior materials are made of actually pretty nice quality. No lie, I really love this gear shifter. I think it is so cool, and many people are not fond of like things like this or shift by wire systems, but they really don't bother me that much. Especially since it's an automatic transmission, I'm not going to be doing the shifting anyway, so it doesn't bother me. The only thing I found kind of weird was the start button is next to the USB ports, which really it should be closer to the ignition, but I actually drove a Nissan Altima where the start button was down here. So, I mean, well, you kind of, I guess, roll with it. Interior, though, is not bad. It's kind of weird looking when you first get into it, but it really flows well. The infotainment system's easy to use. Your drive modes are pretty easy to use. Everything's accessible, and it's utilitarian, which I do like. I also do like that there are buttons for the air conditioner, and additionally, the volume actually has a knob. In the Mitsubishi, you actually had to press the button multiple times, and it was super obnoxious. Also, the Apple CarPlay just connects, whereas Mitsubishi, you have to enable it every single time. The steering wheel I actually do like, although the bottom of the steering wheel, on SUVs, it doesn't really fit. Whereas on things like sports cars, like the Maxima, I can totally see it. But needless to say, it flows really well. The tachometer is kind of weird just because it's missing the 1, so my OCD is really kicking in. But otherwise, it's not something that you notice on a regular basis. Also, too, the interior's got like a brown color to it as well, and it two-tones really nicely. I didn't expect it at first to like look good, but it kind of does. It's something that I'm really just sort of surprised with, per se. It's just interesting, but it's not bad. Air conditioner kind of sucks in this car, though, no lie. Like, my husband and I were driving back from a little pool gathering, and both of us were absolutely dying. So it doesn't get hot very quickly. Moving into the back seat, you do have USB A and C ports as well. I do like the fact that cars are incorporating that because honestly, USB-C ports are just coming with phones. You're not really seeing much of a USB-A anymore. Back seat wise, it's not stadium seating like your older Nissan Rogues are, and also your older Xteras. It's something that is kind of weird to me because in a Nissan Rogue, I'm usually used to my head like almost hitting the ceiling when I was in my friend's car, but the stadium seating was actually eliminated for this. So I find it actually rather interesting that they got rid of that because it's kind of like a feature that Nissan had. The Xteras in like 03, 04, you sat so high compared to the driver, and then in the Rogue, the same thing. You would hope that your friend wouldn't hit a speed bump, but if they did, well, concussion. So pretty much, oh, I noticed a little tear right here. People beat the crap out of these rental cars. Rear air vents as well. These zero gravity seats, guys, I mean, oh my God, they are so comfortable. Like, literally, if comfort is one of your biggest priorities in a vehicle, although I'm not a huge fan of Nissan, I would actually suggest this because these seats, they just fit everywhere. It's like a Tempur-Pedic mattress. They just don't give you any pressure points on your back, and honestly, I could see myself driving this on a really, really long trip, provided, however, the transmission keeps it together. Needless to say, the center console is actually rather interesting. I forgot to mention while I was up there, but there is a button down here that you lift and it exposes a like sort of two opening center console, which I find kind of interesting. Kind of fancy if you ask me. I would just rather pull it up, but that's just me. But needless to say, it's not bad by any means. A decent SUV and a decent upgrade, I will say that. The driving characteristics of this Rogue versus the older model, I have to say, are much different. With the older Rogue, it definitely felt cheap and kind of obnoxious. This one, not so much. I'm just making sure this isn't actually not open because it keeps reminding me that a rear door is open, which is kind of weird. But you get a lot of storage back here. You do have this to lift up, which will give you your little donut. So glad this still comes with a spare tire because every single car on the market does not do so. Storage is adequate. I'm kind of glad they didn't pack a third row in here like they did with the Mitsubishi that I just had. It all fits in pretty well. The only thing is of course, you're going to have to reach a little bit to pull that seat down. As you can see, the leather's all the way over here, or lever, excuse me. And essentially, there's no button over on the sides like you would see in another product. Let's go ahead and kind of give this a slam just to make sure that it's closed. But yeah, guys, it's not too bad. We'll get a driving video of this Nissan Rogue as well. Honestly, I'm a little bit more trusting of the 4-cylinder right now. That 2.5 liter has been around for a while. But needless to say, when it comes to that turbocharged 3 liter, turbocharged engines just don't last very long. So I'm kind of interested to see why Nissan took that specific path. I know it was for fuel economy, but I don't know. At least this 4-cylinder is paired... at least this 4-cylinder is pretty adequate, surprisingly. The CVT behavior is a lot different than the older Rogue. It actually behaves a lot better, but also too with that, I have a feeling the last one that I had was pretty beaten on and it had like 60,000 miles. So we'll take a drive and we'll do some evaluations on this. And thank you guys for watching the first video. Please be safe and we will see each other again.